Well, after the deadly attacks on September 11th, 2001, the U.S. began its search for Osama bin Laden, who assisted in planning the attacks that killed nearly 3,000 Americans. Experts at the National Security Agency worked alongside multiple agencies to track him down, eventually leading to his death in 2011. In the first episode of the agency's new podcast, the No Such podcast, we learn how some of the nation's best and brightest used foreign signals intelligence to help find and eliminate the terrorist leader. Jon Darby was a part of that mission to find bin Laden. He is the former director of operations for the National Security Agency, and he was also the NSA chief of counterterrorism during the bin Laden operation. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think the podcast is really a brilliant idea. It begins with details of how the NSA helped find bin Laden through something called Foreign Signals Intelligence, or SIGINT. SIGINT. I don't know if I said it properly. Can you give us a sort of brief overview of what this is and just tell us how it was used to help find bin Laden?
Okay, so SIGINT breaks out to signals intelligence, meaning intelligence derived from signals. So, and by signal, think about it, it's foreign electronic communications. Think emails, phones, radars, missiles, and the like. Now, it takes several steps to derive intelligence from signals, starting with the requirement that comes down from, like, the president or the White House. In this case, the requirement was find bin Laden. And then we have to collect data. NSA has a variety of sensors arrayed around the world to include, but not limited to, antennas, sometimes in dangerous places, collection authorized by warrants, signed off by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. We hack into foreign networks. So those are some of the types of sensors that we use to collect data. Then we've got to process that data. It may require some technical processing, may require breaking some codes, may require translating a foreign language into English. And then it comes to the analysis, and it's very complex even to get to that point, but the analytic process is complex as well. The analogy I like to use is it's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle that's different from any jigsaw puzzle that most of us are familiar with. In this case, you may have a few pieces of data or puzzle pieces there on your desk in front of you, but there may be hundreds of pieces scattered around the world. And you've got to find as many of those pieces as you can and put them together to answer the requirement, whereas bin Laden, and there's no box top to tell you how the pieces fit together. And then not only that, then you've got to share that information with somebody that can act on it, because intelligence it's got to feed some kind of action.
And I'm going to throw like another factor in, because it's also like that box, that jigsaw puzzle box has pieces from other puzzles thrown in there as well. And you have to decide, there must be an awful lot of noise when you're taking in all of this data. And if I sort of recall, too, one of the things that emerged in the fallout of this whole thing was that, U.S. intelligence in the Middle East had kind of been slacking for a while. So there was also kind of a bit of a catch-up that had to be done. Where do you even start then? Because when you're trying to find someone like bin Laden?
Well, it's all about leads, and much like a police investigation, how do you, gather leads from, let's say, it may come from NSA's own collection of other al-Qaeda individuals, for example, or CIA leads, or FBI, or the military and the like, each using their own capabilities and authorities. Those are puzzle pieces that are being fed to analysts, not just at NSA, but at the other agencies, to try to put together that puzzle and indicate where he is.
So it takes pretty much a decade to find him. I presume, just to throw something else into this whole mix, right? He's not staying in one place. So there must have been moments where you were close and then not, and then close and then not. Can you sort of talk to us about why it took a decade to find him?
Well, you think about it, finding the world's most wanted terrorist who could be anywhere on the face of the earth and who didn't use electronic communications himself. That's a monumental task to find him. And yes, it did take us 9.5 years after 9/11 to find him. And it was, as you say, in fits and starts. Sometimes a lead would, and as you said, lots of these puzzle pieces didn't really fit, but we had to investigate a lot of those leads, which, as we say, were rabbit holes. You ran down and there was nothing there. And you just needed to, persevere and keep at it. And the mindset for the folks that were really working this was, we will find him. If he is alive, we will find him, despite a lot of naysayers saying, he's dead or you'll never find him. Don't bother.
Yeah. What did it feel like during the raid and the moment Osama bin Laden was located and killed?
Well, I tell you, it was, a variety of, I tell a lot of stories about that day of the raid. Everything from, the nervousness as I'm walking into work that day, thinking I'm pretty sure he's there, but there's a little bit of doubt, to the surreal feeling that you're witnessing history when you hear Admiral McCraven announce to those that were following the raid that we got him. And then even afterwards, when I came home, after about 36 hours at work, when I walked into to my house, my wife had kind of put together two and two. She knew I worked in counterterrorism. She'd seen the president's statement. She kind of figured I was connected somehow. So I walked in. She goes, "Well, you clearly had something to do with this. Do you want a steak dinner?" And I said, "I just want a pizza." And I sat down, frankly, and I cried my eyes out, and really just thinking about the 3,000 people that lost their lives on 9/11, all the sacrifice that people put in Afghanistan and elsewhere around the world for nearly 10 years to bring this terrorist to justice. And I was so proud of the team across the entire intelligence community, military, that pulled together. It truly was a team effort, across multiple agencies to bring this man to justice.
Well, what you're reminding me of is that the NSA is filled with people who have it's not just work, it's part of their heart and soul that they pour into this. If you want to know more about what the NSA does, check out the No Such podcast. It's great. They talk about all kinds of different topics. Jon Darby, thank you very much.
Thank you.